Hey there, race fans. It's Race Day Top 5 with me, Frank 5. Happy 2022, everyone. It's a new year, which means NASCAR is just around the corner. Literally, it's around the corner tomorrow. We start the season off with the ultimate event of the year, the Busch Clash at a brand new venue. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about a lot of things entering the year. New faces and new places, new tracks, new things with the new car, and a lot of storylines. So let's get into it, everyone. Let's talk about what to expect for this upcoming season. Number one, Kyle Larson, the defending NASCAR Cup Series champion, had a career year last year. You can compare his season to Jimmy Johnson's 2007 season, where Jimmy won 10 races and the championship. Last year, Kyle Larson won 10 races and he won the championship. Coming off a year where he was sitting on the couch at Charlotte for most of the season because of what happened to him in 2020 with the iRacing event where he was caught using a racial slur, was ultimately fired from Chip Ganassi Racing, and NASCAR suspended him indefinitely. And around that time, he stayed off of social media, went dirt racing, spent time with the family, and then he started to reemerge around the fall and apologized for his actions. And then Rick Hendrick took a chance on him and signed him to drive for Hendrick Motorsports in 2021, bringing back the number 5 car. And right off the bat, they nailed it. I mean, Kyle Larson had a great year last year with Cliff Daniels, won at Las Vegas. They won a lot of races. They won the All-Star race, the Coca-Cola 600, the night race at Bristol, venue that Kyle Larson has been trying to win in the Cup Series for a long, long time, and he finally got it done. He won at Nashville Super Speedway, the Cup Series first trip there. He's won in a couple road courses, won at Watkins Glen and the Charlotte Roval, where he overcame adversity in that race. And then he was just so dominant all last season. Him and Cliff Daniels were just kicking butt, and they were just nailing it every single weekend with their cars. And ultimately, in the last race of the season, they battled for the championship against their teammate, the defending champion at the time, Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., who's looking for a second title, and Denny Hamlin, who is still looking for that big trophy in his trophy case, the NASCAR Cup. Larson last year was really good in the short runs with his teammate, and they ultimately were able to hold off Truex, Hamlin, and Elliott to win the championship. And it was well-deserved. I mean, the best driver of all season probably has to win the championship, doesn't he? And he did. And I've got a feeling he's going to carry that momentum into 2022, though he's got to have a little bit of challenges ahead of him. He's got to have a new car to run. He's got his teammates who are all going to be gunning for him. Chase Elliott, William Byron, and Alex Bowman, who really good last year. And other guys, other veterans, other young guns, they're going to have their hands full this year. But I've got a good feeling that Larson and Cliff Daniels are going to battle hard and will be battling it out for the championship when we get to Phoenix later this year. So I'm excited for Larson, and I think he's going to do really well in year 2 at Hendrick Motorsports. Number 2, a new era for NASCAR and a new car. This year, we finally, at long last, debuted the brand new car that we've been waiting for, and it's the next-gen car, or Gen 7, whichever one you want to call it. This was a car that was supposed to debut last year, but because the COVID pandemic started in 2020, we had to push back the debut of this car until this season. It has finally arrived. We are finally here with this new car. Chevy, Ford, Toyota each have their own different style body. Now, here's something I want to point out. These cars are composite body cars. They're not made of steel like they have been in the past, so the teams don't make the cars this time. All these Chevy bodies, Ford bodies, and Toyota bodies are given to each Toyota, Ford, and Chevy team. So every single team will have the equal body of their car. The chassis, that I'm not 100% sure about, but regardless, every Chevy team gets the same Chevy car, every Ford team gets the same Ford car, and the same Toyota team gets the same Toyota car. So it'll be very interesting to see what it does for the competition this year. One of the reasons that we have this new car, we want to bring closer competition for not only the fans, but for the teams as well. We see the competitive teams, your typical Hendrick, Gibbs, Stewart-Haas, Richard Childress teams run up towards the front. Team Penske. We want to bring in some of the lower teams like Front Row Motorsports, Spire Motorsports, JTG Doherty Racing. You know what I'm saying. We want to bring them closer together on a normal basis instead of on the super speedways, and maybe it's some short tracks where some of those lower teams might actually have some good runs. We want to bring them all closer together at some of the big venues this year, and that's what we have with this car. There are a lot of other things that are new. We got a diffuser in the rear like IndyCar and Formula One have. We've got new technology, and we just got a lot of brand new things for this car this year. Now, another thing will be interesting is the horsepower package for this car. And this year, we have more horsepower. No, not that kind of horsepower. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. We are adding a little more horsepower to some of the bigger tracks this year, like the 1.5 miles and the 2-mile tracks. So we tested it at Charlotte in the winter. We tested out a little more horsepower at some of the bigger tracks. We put in, instead of 550, we're switching a little higher. We're going to 670 horsepower this year at the big venues, the 1.5 and 2 miles, and they will also be used at the short tracks and the road courses. And so far on social media, the reaction from the fans and even the drivers been nothing but positive. It's very encouraging to see. And I watched some of the snippets of their testing the car with the higher horsepower, low downforce package at Charlotte Motor Speedway on YouTube. And the product was really, really good. It's very encouraging, something that we are looking for this year. Now, obviously, it's going to be a little different at different venues because each track is different than the other, even though they might have the same distance as far as the miles. But it's going to be interesting with this car, and I'm very encouraged by it. Now, another thing will be interesting with this car, how will it fare on the super speedways? We went to Daytona and tested this. They could pass a lot, and they could draft up a lot, and suck up a lot, and slingshot. Looked very encouraging. The speeds, however, puzzles me, because one day we were running in the low 180s, something we haven't seen since the mid-2000s, and then the next day I see them in the 190s, so I'm not entirely sure what the speeds are going to really look like in general when we get to Daytona, but we'll find out when we get ready for practice, the duels, and then leading up to the Daytona 500 in the coming weeks. We're going to have it at Daytona, Talladega, and another track, which will be very, very interesting, courtesy of a little bit of work they did in the offseason. But I'm excited about the next-gen car. I really am. One thing I'm not 100% excited about yet is the number placement on the car. They shifted the number forward to the front tires because remember they tried doing something like this alternatively at the All-Star race in 2020 at Bristol, where they shifted the number towards the rear wheel of the car and put the sponsor right in front of it. They're shifting the number forward and they're putting the sponsors like more on the side of the car while the number's forward to the tire. I'm not really a big fan of it, but maybe as time progresses, I'll get used to it. So let's see what happens. But other than that, I think the next-gen car is going to bring great racing for the fans this year. And it's going to bring a lot of excitement. And maybe down the road, maybe next year, we increase the horsepower just a little bit. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Number 3, venues for the NASCAR Cup Series this year. Unbelievable. Let's start off with the big one that starts tomorrow. The NASCAR Cup Series will be having the Busch-like clash. Not at Daytona, but in the Los Angeles Coliseum out in LA. Yes, the stadium where the Los Angeles Rams played over the years. The stadium where the USC Trojans play for their college football team. Some of the big venues have been there. I think we've had the Olympics there at one point. I'm not 100%. But we're going to be racing a quarter-mile event in that stadium tomorrow. It's going to be a real prize. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, I've already heard 70% of the people that have bought tickets for this race are new to NASCAR. This is what we want. We want to try to bring in more fans that have never experienced NASCAR before. We want to get more fans into the sport. This is perfect. This could be something that we do as the season progresses, bring in new fans. And what better way to start out than at Los Angeles to help the sports market for NASCAR? Because we know how LA is big with their sports, with the Rams, the Chargers, the Kings, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, I guess, and the Dodgers. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very, very encouraged by NASCAR's move with this, and I think it's going to be a fun race. Now, the big question is it going to be a typical short track, or is it going to be an ugly short track event? We won't know. We're going to have heat races to decide it, and then we'll have the main event at 6 p.m., 23 cars battling out for $1 million prize money. Not a points race. It's all about pride, glory, and getting the season started off and testing this new car. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait for it to kick off tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. Then, of course, we have the Daytona 500 starting February the 20th. Then we're starting off with the West Coast Swing. Going back to Fontana, we didn't run there last year because they were still strict with COVID. We're back there this year, possibly the last time on the normal 2-mile configuration before they can eventually convert this to a short track. Then we've got a lot of other venues. We've got the Bristol Dirt Race back in the schedule, the road courses that were new to us last year, COTA, Road America, and the Indianapolis Road Course, which was an interesting event. Nashville Super Speedway is back, and NASCAR Cup Series this year has added Gateway Motorsports Park, or Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, whatever you want to call it. They've had a names change pretty much every single year. They're going to that venue the first time for the Cup Series. They've never raced there before. Trucks have been there over the years. Xfinity used to run there, not anymore. Cup Series is coming here, and this will help the NASCAR Cup Series in the St. Louis sports market because the Rams, again, they moved to LA in 2016. The Cardinals are still there and the Blues are still there, but are they really big attraction getters? This could be really good for NASCAR at St. Louis in the Midwest, so this will be a lot of fun. And then a lot of the changes. Richmond is no longer a playoff race. The second one, that's moved to the regular season, but not the finale. It's still Daytona, which I think is a great move. In the playoffs, we've got Kansas as the second race in the round of 16. Texas has moved up their regular race with the exception of the All-Star race, which will be there again this year. Texas will move up to the, I think the first or the second race in the round of 12. I'm not 100%, but it will be there. And Homestead's coming back to the playoffs. Yay! Sorta. It's going to be the second to last race of the round of 8. Phoenix is still the championship event, which I don't mind. I think it's a good venue. But having Homestead back in the playoffs is really good for the fans. And Martinsville's a cutoff race. I love it. I like the schedule we've got this year. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I cannot wait to go to some of these venues this year. It's going to be a real hoot. Number 4, new names and faces and old and new places. We got so much to talk about when it comes to drivers with new teams, teams with new drivers, brand new teams. We've got a lot. I mean, silly season's been crazy this year. I hope you have a checklist for all this stuff. I think the first one we need to talk about is Brad Keselowski is no longer with Team Penske, as he announced last summer that he would not be returning to Team Penske for 2022. Instead, he will be driving for Roush Fenway Racing in the number 6 car. What's different about this is that Keselowski is now having a minority ownership with this team, so it will be known as Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. He'll drive the number 6 car, replacing Ryan Newman, who probably ran his last Cup race or NASCAR race in general. Who knows? He's not going to run full-time at all this year, but I think Brad Keselowski coming to Roush in general will really help the team and improve them and help Chris Buescher as a driver and a teammate, because Brad Keselowski, how many years do you have left in the sport? Not a lot, but I still think he can run for the next 5 years and help Roush get back to where they were when they had a star-studded lineup with Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle when they were dominant in the early 2010s. And now they're gone. So let's see what Brad Keselowski can bring to the table. And I have a hunch that Brad Keselowski is going to win a race this year and will make the playoffs. Now, for the guy replacing him in the number 2 at Team Penske is Austin Cendrick, the 2020 Xfinity Series champion. And Austin Cendrick brings a lot to the table for this team. And of course, they've been eyeing him apparently as the replacement for Keselowski over the last couple of years, in case Keselowski did not resign his contract with Team Penske. So now Cendrick gets the opportunity to run for Team Penske in the number 2 car, and I think he's going to knock it out of the park with them, and this team is going to be partnered up with Jeremy Bullins. He had a good year with Keselowski over the last 2 years. Cendrick, of course, almost won the Xfinity Series Championship last year, but didn't get it done. I think this year he will be really good, and it will be great teammates with Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. And I think combined, the average age of this 3 drivers is, 25, 26? These guys are really young. I mean, Joey Logano is only 31 years old, folks. He's still really, really young. So this is going to be a very interesting year for Team Penske, and I think all 3 of these guys are going to be playoff bound and will be contenders to battle out for the championship this year. Now, another storyline is Kurt Busch. He is no longer with Chip Ganassi Racing. He's now with 2311 Racing, as he will be the second driver of their new 2-team entry. Of course, Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan own this team. They formed it last year. Bubba Wallace was the driver the first year, and he won at Talladega in the rain-shortened event in the fall, which was big for him and big for the sport, with the minority winning for the first time since Wendell Scott in the early 60s. Kurt Busch coming to this team is really helpful. Drive the 45 car, which was Michael's second number, I think it was after the first year he came after his first retirement, and he came back and he won 3 championships with the Bulls. I can't remember, but I think Kurt Busch is going to really help this team and benefit himself. I think they could be a much better team this year, because every time Kurt Busch moves to a new team, which has been, I can't count how many team changes he's had over the years in his career, he always makes a team better everywhere he goes. I mean, he went to Vergero in 2013. Got him in the playoffs. Then he went to Stuart Haas, had phenomenal years there. Won the Daytona 500. Then he went to Ganassi the final 3 years of their time in the Cup Series, and he got them 1 win each season, and each season was apparently a dark horse contender for the championship. I see no different this year that Kurt Busch will be a championship contender. He will be up there, and I think he will make Bubba Wallace a better race car driver and a better teammate as well. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what these 2 can do at the track. Now, as for the other driver from Chip Ganassi Racing last year, Ross Chastain. As you all know, Ganassi sold its assets to Trackhouse Racing. Ross Chastain will transition to Trackhouse Racing, driving the number 1 car and being a teammate to Daniel Suarez. This team had some big moments last year. I mean, they got a top 5 at the Bristol Dirt Race. They had a couple of good runs last season. Then they kind of had some struggles as a first-year team towards the end of the year, but I think in year 2 they're going to do a lot better, and they're going to do some good things this year. And I expect Ross Chastain to have a much more competitive season because he was kind of getting his feet wet in competitive equipment in the Cup Series last year. This year, I think he's going to do better, and he and Daniel Suarez will be good teammates as well. Then we got some new faces as well as far as rookie contenders. Harrison Burton is moving up to the Cup Series, driving the number 21 and the Wood Brothers team. Of course, Matt DiBenedetto drove for them the last 2 seasons. He is now no longer with them. He's actually transitioned to the Truck Series. Harrison Burton moving up to the Cup Series. I'm excited for him. However, I'm a little worried that he's being rushed because 2 years ago, he was driving for Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity team, had a really good year with them, won 3 races. Last year, he had a decent year with them, but he didn't win a race, and that confuses me why they would kind of rush him up. I hope he proves me wrong. I wish Harrison Burton the best. However, he's going to have some rookie struggles, but he'll have some bright moments. He's got a bright future, and he's a young driver that I think we're going to be looking forward to watching for a long, long time. And I think Jeff Burton, who is his dad, should be very proud of what his son has accomplished. And I wish Harrison Burton nothing but the best in 2022 with the Wood Brothers. Hopefully he gets in their 100th win. Now, another new name this year is Todd Gillen. Todd Gillen has been in the Truck Series for the majority of his career with KBM, and then the last 2 seasons with Front Row Motorsports. Got a win for them at COTA last year. This year, he's moving up to the Cup Series, replacing Anthony Alfredo in the 38 car, and he'll be teammate alongside the defending Daytona 500 champion and Michael Mcdowell. I'm kind of iffy on this one. I mean, he didn't run a year at Xfinity. He didn't run a single Xfinity race last year. But, I mean, with this team that just won the 500 that actually did pretty well for their standards last year, and with this next-gen car, he could run up towards the front. So I'm interested to see what Todd Gillen does with the 38 team this year. I wish him the best as well. And learning from a veteran teammate and a defending Great American Race winner, Michael Mcdowell, I don't think you could have asked for a better teammate. Now, we also have some brand new teams this year. The first one to talk about is Colleague Racing, a team that came to NASCAR in 2016, the Xfinity Series, made the playoffs every single year, and they had a great year in Xfinity last year. This year, they're starting their first full-time Cup team with 2 cars. One of them will be piloted by Justin Haley in the number 31 car, and the other one, their number 16, will be an all-star lineup consisted of AJ Allmendinger, Noah Gragson, and the defending Xfinity Series champion, Daniel Hemrick, who will actually drive for their full-time Xfinity car in the Xfinity Series this year. Hemrick will drive the 16 car for the team in the Daytona 500. Allmendinger will drive the 16 car this upcoming Sunday at the LA Coliseum for the Busch Light Clash. So I think this team is going to do well. The reason they jumped to Cup Series full-time now, because of the next-gen car. And they've been talking about this over the years. With the next-gen car, it doesn't cost much like the other cars used to, like making the cars. They feel like this could even the competition, and that's why they're making the move now, and I hope they have a good first year. Another team that's new is GMS Racing. They have moved up to the Cup Series this year, and actually in the offseason, merged with Richard Petty Motorsports to now be called Petty GMS Motorsports. They'll run 2 cars. The first one, number 43, will be driven by Eric Jones. The other one is the number 42 car, number that the Pettys have not had, I think, since Lee Petty in the 60s. That will be piloted by Todd Gillen, who took a year off full-time from the Cup Series to run some races, the Xfinity. He did run some Cup races for Gaunt Brothers. He missed the Daytona 500 last year. Won't happen this year because they have a charter. I think this will help Richard Petty in general because they've been looking to try to get back to being at the top where they used to be. I mean, you know, they had a couple good years where they had guys like Eric Almirola behind the wheel. They had Bubba Wallace, and Eric Jones came along last year and had a couple nice runs. So I think Richard Petty partnering with Maury Gallagher and Spencer Gallagher and GMS is going to definitely help both sides and make them better race teams. And I think they're going to have a pretty interesting year, especially with this car. And a couple other teams we're adding this year are Team Hesseberg and the Money Team Racing. Team Hesseberg is a Dutch team that is partnering with Rayon Brothers Racing, and it'll be piloted by Loris Hezemond in a couple races this year. Now, it's a part-time team, I want to remind you, and they're going to run the Daytona 500 or attempt to make it with Jacques Villeneuve, the 1997 Formula One World Champion. And Villeneuve tried to make the 500 in 08 with the same number. They have 27 right now. He didn't make it because he crashed at his duel, but hopefully this time around he'll be able to get the job done with this team. It'll be very interesting. They try to plan to move to the Cup Series full-time in 2023 if they can acquire a charter, obviously, because the charter system is crazy. It adds more value to teams coming to the races nowadays than it kind of did back then. I mean, you want to come and you want to compete for race wins and be a better team, have a charter, you got the chance to be in the Cup Series for quite a while. So let's see what they can produce. And then just this week, the money team, a team that's been trying to get in the Cup Series over the last couple of years since 2019, but didn't happen. They're finally debuting at the Daytona 500 with Keselowski as the driver. Now, the money team that's owned by Floyd Money Mayweather. Yes, the same dude that's 50-0 in the ring against his fellow competitors. Of course, the most recent matchup that he went up against right before he retired was Conor McGregor, the 2017 fight, and that's why the car number is 50 because he's 50-0. So that makes a lot of sense. So I wish the best to this team. They're going to run a couple of races, might become a full-time team. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's in the cards yet for them, but I think that this team could do pretty well, and I think they can make the 500. They're going to have a Richard Childress engine in their car, so that'll be very interesting. And then a couple other things to point out. Richmond Racing is getting Fords this year and are forming an alliance with Storehouse Racing, hoping to improve their organization. And then Josh Bilicki will run majority of the season in the second Spire Motorsports entry. The other races, I think, will be piloted by Landon Castle, who's going to run for them at the Daytona 500, apparently. So let's see what that happens. But a lot of switching around. New faces and new places, drivers that have been around for a long time and new teams. It's going to be an interesting season for these guys. And number 5, the end of the ride. Aric Almirola announced a couple of weeks ago that 2022 will be his final full-time season in the Cup Series. He wants to spend more time with his family. He wants to be more of a father figure. He wants to become a race fan. Because normally after you retire, you become a race fan again. And I hope Aric Almirola enjoys retirement, but he's got one more season to go. This dude's got a kind of crazy up and down ride in NASCAR, shall we say. I mean, he drove Xfinity Series his first couple years, as well as the Truck Series. Moved full-time to the Cup Series in 2012 for the Richard Petty Motorsports team. Got them their first victory in a long time, and the night at the summer race at Daytona, where it was rain shortened. It got them on a win on the 30th anniversary, where Richard Petty scored his final win during the 4th of July race at Daytona in 1984, where President Ronald Reagan attended, and he called from Air Force One saying, "Gentlemen, start your engines." Pretty good moment. And then the last couple years with the Pettys, Almirola really wasn't that good. Of course, he had that nasty back injury in the 2017 night race at Kansas, where he missed a couple races, but then came back late in the year. Then he moved to Storehouse Racing in 2018, and he had a breakout year, finished 5th in the points, got a win at Talladega, and had a chance to win other races as well. Then the past 3 seasons, 2019, 2020, didn't win a race, but still made the playoffs because he was consistent and he was good. This past year, he struggled mightily. I mean, Storehouse Racing in general struggled. But he really struggled, failing to finish a lot of races and just not running that well. Then came New Hampshire, a track where he almost won it 3 years previous. It was shortened because of darkness. He put himself in the right position at the right time with a very good race car and won the race, locking himself into the playoffs. The playoffs didn't really go so well for him. He got eliminated in the round of 16. But he still kind of finished the season strong. I think he got a top 10 in the final race of the season at Phoenix, which by their standards was not bad. So I think Almirola is going to do better this year with this next-gen car, and I hope he goes out the best way possible on his terms. I hope he makes the playoffs. I hope he wins a race. I wish him the best this year. And possibly the man that will replace him next year is a dude that's going to be a reserve driver for Storehouse Racing in Ryan Preece. Drove for JTG Doherty the last few years. Now they're just a one-car team. Preece has now been accepted a reserve role. He'll also drive a few races for Rick Ware Racing as well, but he will drive probably the number 10 car in 2023 after Almirola retires. But I wish Aric Almirola the best, and I hope he has a good final season in the Cup Series. So those are the big storylines for this upcoming season. Another storyline I want to point out tomorrow, and for the Daytona 500, NASCAR and Fox obviously calling the first 16 races of the season, as well as the All-Star Race and the Busch Light Clash. Mike Joy, Clint Boyer will be in the broadcast booth this year. Boyer had a good first year with them last year. Jeff Gordon, however, has gone on to do other things. He'll be the vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports, which I think is a really good role for Jeff, and I think he's going to do great over there. The man that will be calling the Busch Clash and the Daytona 500 alongside Mike Joy and Clint Boyer, for NASCAR and Fox will be three-time NASCAR Cup Series champion and NASCAR Hall of Famer Tony Stewart. NASCAR and Fox, you knocked it out of the park with this decision. This was a great move. Bringing in a dude who's got a great personality and great insight. They hit a home run with this thing. They made the announcement during the NFC divisional game between the Packers and the 49ers, where the 49ers ended up winning. And they saw this announcement, and I was just like, yes, yes, yes! Tony Stewart calling the 500 and the Busch class? You couldn't have picked a better person. I mean, this was a great decision by NASCAR and NASCAR Fox. I applaud them so much, and Tony was excited when he announced it in the video, talking about how he's going to do this, and he said, Mike Jury, you're going to have your hands full with me and Clint. Yes, he is. But I'm looking forward to hearing Tony and Clint and Mike tomorrow, and for the Daytona 500 on February the 20th. He's going to have a lot of fun. That third spot that he's going to be broadcasting in, they're going to rotate that role throughout the season, I'm being told. Might have Jamie McMurray do it. Might have Michael Waltrip do it, even though some people are saying no. I say, why not? I mean, his brother Dale did it. Why not Michael? And I think down the road, we might see the spot be filled by two drivers who are nearing the end of their career and have done this before. And I'm talking about Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch. Either one of these guys might be in the booth next year if both decide to hang it up after the season, which I don't know. They haven't talked about it, but let's see what happens. But I'm excited for Fox to have Tony Stewart come join Clint Boyer. It's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow and February the 20th. So that's the big storylines again for this upcoming season. Don't forget the Busch Light Clash at the Coliseum starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. with the main event at 6 p.m. all on Fox. I can't wait. I can't wait for the new season. I can't wait for the Daytona 500 February the 20th to officially kick the season off. It's going to be a lot of fun. Brand new car, new faces and new places, new tracks we're going to, a guy trying to defend his championship. I'm excited for the season, guys. I hope you are as well. So subscribe, like, and I hope you all join along with me for this upcoming season of fun and excitement. NASCAR's back, baby. All have a good day, and let's go racing.